Hello, I know I look kind of crazy rough, but it's 2 o'clock in the morning, can't sleep, so I figured I would make this video. I'm going to be reading it, so I'll be looking off a few times. Trying to read it off my phone. It's a little passage thing from an unknown author. The worst thing you could do is when you're down on yourself, down on the world, down on everything, is to stay down. The easiest thing I could do is go lay down in bed, go to sleep, not think about my issues, and just be pessimistic all the time. You can't do that. It's just dangerous to yourself. You wake up, in a bad mood, having a bad day. You kind of, one of my old bosses had this story called "Kick the Cat." It was a pretty good story, talking about you start out with a like say a CEO, and he has a bad day at the office. He goes and yells at his assistant. So then his assistant walks off and says, "Oh, what in the world he's yelling at me for?" So he yells at his secretary. And then the secretary goes home to her husband, yells at her husband. And the husband's like, "What in the world's wrong with her?" He gets all mad, has a bad afternoon. Next thing you know, he yells at the kids when they get home from school for not doing their chores. Then, the little boy gets mad, walks outside, walks by the cat. He kicks the cat. So the cat gets the negative, process from the CEO all the way down to the poor cat. He's the whipping cat, if you will. It's just what you do in life transpires all around you. And if I just took all the negative that's going on in my life and, just give more negative, nothing's ever going to come from it. So, but I just wanted to add that too. I just had a thought when I hit record on that one, which what you take out of situations, the negative ones especially, it's easy to stay negative, but if you could think on how to turn that into a positive, it would be amazing. If you take your negative, you share your negative as a positive, and maybe be uplifting to somebody else. But just want to, like I said, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I look like I'm about half asleep because I'm about half asleep. But when I laid down, this inspirational thing hit me. You're talking about it feels like I'm up against the wall. I know you've probably heard it before, but when you're against a wall, what can you do? They say between a rock and a hard place, there's really nowhere to go. There's either hard or there's hard. There's no easy way out. There's no cracks. Nobody's going to help you. A lot of people can uplift you and do things and help you with things, what have you. And but you'll have friends, jump in and encourage you. But at the end of the day, it's all about you. You got to take care of you, and you got to do what you think is best for you, and best for me is the Lord's will. For one reason or another, this came upon me. I figured I'd do this. I ain't the best, motivational speaker in the world. At all, but I speak from the heart. I'm emotional about what I do, and if I believe in something, I'm going to do it, whether it's good or bad. If I have a impulse of doing it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to share it. So here it is, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I like to read this little passage to you. So I'm going to look off from the camera, several times, but you'll see me, looking over. Just ignore that. Just listen and try to feel what I'm saying. This is called pushing against a rock. Once again, you're against your own rock. Whatever your burden is your rock. And the Lord puts things on us for us to do. We don't know why. We don't know why you're going through. Don't know why you're going through the tough time you're having right now. Don't know why the Lord's turned His back on you. If that's what you think, you don't know why. You had a loved one die, and you feel you're up against a wall, and you think God's turned His back on you. No. He hasn't. He knows what you can handle. He knows what you can do. He knows your abilities, and He'll make you stronger. So, thus the passage. Once again, it's pushing against a rock. There was a man who was asleep one night in a cabin, and his room suddenly filled with a light from the Savior that appeared to him. The Lord told him he had work for him to do, and showed him a very large rock, and explained that he was to push against the rock with all his might. And the man did. For many days he toiled from sun up to sundown, his shoulder set squarely against the cold, massive surface of the rock, pushing against it with all his might. Each night the man returned to his cabin sore and wore out, feeling his whole day has been spent in vain. He's been pushing all day. He's not done anything. There's nothing he's done. There's no progress. Seeing that the man showed signs of discouragement, Satan decided to enter the picture, as he always will. If he knows he's got you down, he'll come and poke and poke and poke. Eventually, you'll find yourself, in a worse spot, because he'll take an opportunity. If you're weak, he will make you weaker. If he knows he's got you, he don't say, ha ha ha, I've got you. No, he just keeps pushing. But the man tells him, and I'm sure people going through depression thinks about this, it's the devil talking. Why don't you just kill yourself? You're never going to move it. There's no way you can beat this obstacle. There's no way you can move the rock. You can push all you want to. It's never going to help. You're never going to move the rock. It's an impossible task. Then the thing, it pictures a boulder probably the size of a F-350, a pretty big rock, is probably 15 foot wide and tall, what have you. So he says, you're never going to move it. Or, boy, you've been at it a long time but haven't even scratched the surface, etc. Giving the man the impression the task was impossible, which for the most part the man knew it was impossible, but God had this task for him. And he said the man was an unworthy servant because he wasn't moving this massive stone. He wasn't doing what he's supposed to do. He's trying, but he's failing. He is failing. I mean, or is he? Or is he doing God's will? God's will may not show itself to you when he first shows you what you're up against. He showed this man this rock. He's put the faith in it. He's doing it. So these thoughts discouraged him and disheartened the man, and he started to ease up with his efforts. Why kill myself? He thought, in just putting my time, putting my effort, putting the minimum effort, just kind of get by, just start a little leaning more than pushing. Just that'll be good enough. Or at least that's what he planned to do, until one day he decided to take his troubles to the Lord. He said, Lord, he asked, I have labored hard and long in your service, putting forth all my strength to do that which you've asked of me. Yet after all this time, I've not even budged the rock, not even halfway, not a millimeter. What's wrong? Why am I failing? To this, the Lord responded compassionately, my friend, when long ago you asked me, and you asked to serve me and accepted me, I told you to push against the rock with all your strength, and you have done so. But never once did I mention to you that you had to move it, at least not by yourself. Your task was to push. And now you come to me, your strength spent, thinking that you have failed, ready to quit. But is this really so? Look at yourself. Your arms are strong and muscled. Your back sinewed and brown. I don't understand that word. Your hands are calloused from your constant pressure. Your legs have become massive and hard. Through opposition, you have grown much, and your ability now far surpasses that which you used to have. Yes, yet still you haven't succeeded in moving the rock, and you've come to me now with a heavy heart and your strength spent. I, my friend, will move the rock. Your calling was to be obedient and push, and to exercise your faith in trust and in my wisdom, and you've done so. So the moral of the story isn't the outcome of what you think God has a plan for you. The outcome is to do what he asks you to do. If he asks you to get up in church and sing, although you're not a singer, somebody there is to get a blessing from your singing. So if God asks you to move and he wants you to sing, you should do so, because it's not the outcome that you think. It's not when you think. So, well, I need to practice, to be better. No, God wants you at that time to do what he asks. We're all servants and should do as he asks when he asks. So the man in the story pushed and pushed and pushed, and the point of, his job was to push. It wasn't to move. His task was to do God's will, and his outcome in the end was a lot stronger. So if you're tasked at church to sing, It may not be the best song you ever sung in your life, but somebody's there to listen. You don't know who. You don't know who you're going to touch without doing God's will. It's not for, us to know what His end game is for us. What we're to do as He asks. I remember one time when I first got saved, I went to a church in Grays, Kentucky, with my youth pastor and several of our youth members. Had a great time. Had a revival going on. People getting saved every night. Great testament to what God can do at this little backcountry church. And then the flu kicks in. Everybody's getting sick. The congregation starts going down, down, down. And then it went from maybe having 120 people a night to having maybe 100 people, down to 75, 80 people, down to 65, 70 people. And then they're like, well, we're talking about, just maybe ending the service. This be the last night on this Wednesday night. We'll not go anymore because there's too many people sick. We're missing too many people. It's passing around. That's just what we need to do. No, the devil was scared. The devil was scared because of all the movement that was going on. And he put it in somebody's mind that, hey, yeah, it's easier. Let's just quit. Because, hey, look at all the sickness. But also look at all the healing that was going on. All the mental, things people had brought there for. People being, blessed and coming to the Lord and giving their lives and souls to God. So I was told right in that moment, stand up and say, that's exactly what the devil wants us to do, is quit. We're doing too much good here to quit. And if we do, the devil wins. And the revival's over. And I said, well, who am I? I'm 14-year-old in front of these people I don't know. Then the 2 or 3 people that's with me is going to look at me like I'm crazy. And then just as quick as I had the thought and didn't act on the thought, some lady stood up in the second or third row and said word for word exactly what I was supposed to say, that God tasked me to say. But my obedience wasn't there. Her obedience was. So God's will was done, just in a different person. He wanted me to say it, but I didn't. I failed. So I knew right then, oops, I've messed up. I knew that I was there for that reason, and I let Him down. So I thought about that so many times in life, of what little things that I should have done, could have done. Things I could have done pretty easy, because Lord knows I'm not afraid to talk. But I failed God at that moment. Also, another time, if you know me, you ask me how I am, I'm probably going to say I'm blessed, because I am blessed. I'm going through probably the roughest thing I've ever went through in my life, and yet I'm blessed. I'm still here. I still, like my post the other day said, I'm still smiling, because you will go through rough times. You will fail. Failure is a step forward. Failure is concrete, because failure is going to be there. The failure can be your rock. That's what pushes you. When you fail, you move forward. But I'm going through, like I said, a hard time, right now. It'd be easy for me to just, ups and quit exactly what I was doing, and just how you doing today, Mark? Well, buddy, going through this. I've told a few people what's going on with me, but most 99% of the time, I'll tell you I'm blessed. I have to, because one time I was working one day, walked through my lobby. I asked a friend of mine how she was doing. She said she's doing well. Asked me how I'm doing. I said, nobody cares. So she looks at me with a straight face and just shuts me down. She says, Mark, there's one person out there that does care. God. He cares and He listens to you. So I was like, wow, again, my light's supposed to be shining. My light was not shining. I absolutely gave no credit to God. And I did not shine my light when I should have. I should have said I'm blessed then. So now, if you see me out, ask me how I'm doing. If you're a friend, I may still say I'm blessed, but hey man, could pray for me. I may tell you what's going on, but I will continue to be blessed. Because and so many people have been inspired and encouraged by me saying, hey, I'm blessed. And like I said, I'm going through a bad spot, but I'm still blessed. I'm blessed. I'm still on the positive side of the grass. So long as I'm still here, it's a good thing. I'm still here for my kids. I'm still here for my family. I'm still here for a reason. I don't know what the reason is exactly yet. I've always been, like I said, had the ability of the gift of gab, as you say, so I could always be a good. I could testify. When I first started this church I'm in now, here at Whipple, here in Bell County, I asked about what I could do in the church. I couldn't be a deacon because I've been married before. Very limited what I could do. I can't sing. Of course, if God put it on me to sing, I wouldn't want to say I wouldn't go up there. I wouldn't want to say, yeah, I'll run up there. But we'll see. But I can testify, and I can do stuff like this to give God the glory of what I've done and the positive message. I may mess up and I may fail and I may look like horrible because it is 2 o'clock in the morning. But I laid down in the bed, my head hit the pillow, but yet a light came on. Not physically, just something thought, I'm always trying to think of something positive, and as soon as I done that, so I've got to look that up. I read it probably 20 years ago when I worked at a coal mine up somewhere here in Bell County. I read that it was on the wall or something. I read that, and I've always thought about that. We'll never see the outcome of what we're doing for God is. By me coming through McDonald's and asking somebody how they are, and then telling them how blessed I am, may bless them. They may tell somebody, the next person in line, hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm blessed. I am. I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to have a job. People complain about, said jobs, but, they're blessed to have a job. So, but just my thoughts at 2 o'clock in the morning. Look it up for yourself. I think it's a man pushing against a rock. But there's a whole lot more there than just a man pushing against a rock. What's your rock in life? What exactly what are you up against? What's God got you doing? And when we doubt, what we're doing for God, that's a scary thing too. But my rock or my mountain or my hill, I have a few. But how I tackle them, how I handle them on a day-to-day basis, it depends on me. I can't blame nobody else for me for not doing my part. So, but hopes may get something from this. There may be 5 people that watches it, but it's meant for somebody out there. So please like and share. But until the next time when I get inspired to do something else again, I appreciate you for taking the time to watch, because it's like 18 minutes. But it's something I had on my heart and I wanted to do. And I knew right then this could be my rock, just by talking about said rock, because there's a reason I got up and did this at 2 o'clock in the morning. So God bless, and until the next time.